Good evening, everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the rotation. So this is another type of transformation wherein the given figure or the given point or the given shape are being turned in different direction. It can either be in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng clockwise and counterclockwise direction? So yung ikot ng orasan, kung paano umiikot ang orasan, that is a clockwise direction. While the counterclockwise naman is the opposite direction. So this is a counterclockwise. So there is a fixed point wherein this figure or any point are being rotated, and that is what we call the center of rotation. So commonly, the center of rotation is at the origin. Okay? Doon sa ating Cartesian plane. So kung meron tayong Cartesian plane, ito yung pinaka-center of rotation niya. So the amount of rotation is called the angle of rotation. So ibig sabihin, merong amount or degree kung ano yung sukat nung from the original point to the rotated point. Now, commonly, and the standard of the angle of rotation can only be 4. It can be a 90 degree, 180, 270, and 360. So, these are the angle of rotation. So, isa-isahin natin tong apat. So, yung una is the quarter turn. So, the figure can make a quarter turn about the center in the clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So, this is equivalent to an angle of rotation which is 90 degrees in the clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So, look at this image. So, this is the pre-image and this is the rotated image. So, the center of rotation is at the origin, this one, and this measures 90 degrees. Okay, so from the pre-image to the rotated image, we are going to derive the rule for this point. So the rotated point or the rotated degree or angle of rotation is 90 degrees. So from pre-image to the rotated image, ano ang direction niya? That is a counterclockwise direction. Now, when you have a given point x, y, so let's say this is 1, 1. Mahirap yan. Gawan ng rule or i-derive yung rule dyan. This one na lang. Point C. Si point C, negative 2, 4. From the rotated point, it becomes negative 4, 2. So, what happened on our rotated point? So, this is C prime. So, this is our original x and y. As you can see, nag-switch ng position si x and y. So, it becomes what? Becomes y, x. Oops. Then, as you observe also, should be negative 4, negative 2. Yan, di ba this is negative 2 yan. So, mali lang yung pag-label dito. Now, as you observe also, na-preserve yung point ni x. So, walang nagbago kay x. But the sign of y from positive 4, it becomes negative 4. Okay, on this given point or the rotated point. So, ibig sabihin, our rule for the 90 degrees counterclockwise is the rotated point are being switched. So, y, x, then change the sign of your y. So, that is the rule for the 90 degrees counterclockwise rotation. Okay. Now, paano naman kapag anong tawag dito? Clockwise rotation naman siya. So, oops. So, kapag clockwise rotation, ganito yung ikot niya. Okay? So, mamaya ipapakita natin yung rule doon. So, dito muna tayo sa rotation of 180 degrees. Or tinatawag to as half turn. So, the half turn is about the center in the clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So, ibig sabihin, the given figure, the given point can make a half turn. It can either be a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. Hindi nagmamatter dito yung direction kapag 180 degrees. Okay, same rule lang yung ina-apply natin. So, later we are going to present the rule. Or we can observe this one. From the pre-image, so meron tayong given point na point E, 1, negative 1, 2. Then, it becomes 1, negative 2. What happened or what have you observed with the original point, our X and Y, and the rotated point? So, nag-keep natin or nakip natin yung value na X and Y in the same position. They are in the same position, but the sign has changed. So, from negative 1, it becomes positive 1. So, nagbabago yung sign. So, from given X, it becomes negative X. Then, from positive 2, it becomes negative 2. So, from Y, it becomes negative Y. So, our rule for the rotated point of 180 degrees, whether it is a clockwise or counterclockwise direction, the given point X, Y will become what? Negative X, negative Y. So, same to ng rule sa reflection. So, anong rule to sa reflection? Yung same nito. Yung when the line of reflection is at the origin. So, same sila ng rule sa half turn ng rotation. Okay, next. 3-turn naman. So, a figure can also make a 3-turn about the center in the clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So, this is equivalent to an angle of rotation which is 270 degrees. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, 3-turn yung rotation dito sa ating third cases. So, paano nga ba nangyayari yung quarter turn, half turn, and 3-turn? So, for example, ito yung Cartesian plane natin. Diba, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So, kapag quarter turn, please take note of this. Kapag quarter turn, nagmo-move lang siya from one quadrant to another quadrant ng isang step lang. So, from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2, 90 degrees yon kapag isang move lang siya. Okay? So, this one is counterclockwise. So, kapag quadrant 2 to quadrant 3, ganun din. Isang step lang siya. So, from quadrant 3 to quadrant 4, one step din siya. So, quarter turn yun. Now, ang 180 degrees naman, we have this Cartesian plane. This is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. From quadrant 1, mapupunta siya sa quadrant 3. Or kaya from quadrant 2, mapupunta sa quadrant 4. So, ganun umiikot yung 180 degrees. Dalawang step siya sa quadrant natin. Kapag 3-turn naman, okay, kapag 3-turn, so let's say this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So, from quadrant 1, mapupunta siya sa quadrant 4. Okay? Then, from quadrant 1, kapag counterclockwise yun. Kapag clockwise naman, from quadrant 1, mapupunta sa quadrant 2. So, what have you observed this one? This is 270. Ito. From this point, mapupunta sa quadrant 2. So, this is 270 angle of rotation kapag clockwise. As you can see, from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2, itong 90 degrees, nag-isang step lang siya. Tama ba? So, sa 270 degrees clockwise naman, bumalik siya sa quadrant 2. So, ibig sabihin, yung rule natin kanina sa 90 degrees counterclockwise, they have the same rule for 270 clockwise. Okay. They have the same rule for 270 clockwise direction. So, same lang. Ano ba yung rule natin kanina sa 90 degrees counterclockwise and 270 degrees clockwise? Kung babalikan natin, sabi natin dun kanina, the given point x, y becomes negative y, x. Okay? So, we switch their position. The given x, y becomes y, x. Then, change the sign of your y. Okay? Next, paano naman dito sa ating 270 degrees counterclockwise naman? Okay? So, this is the original point. Point C is 7, 0. So, it becomes 0, negative 7. So, from this quadrant, anong quadrant to? Quadrant 4. This is quadrant 3. So, quadrant 4, so ibig sabihin, umikot siya ng 3 turn. So, our given point, this is x, y. Ano nangyari sa kanila? Nag-switch ng position, so y, x. Then, ano naman yung nabago na sign? Okay, ang nabagong sign is yung x. So, therefore, the P prime or the rotated point for the rotation of 270 degrees is y, negative x. So, ito yung rule natin for the rotation of 270 degrees counterclockwise. Yan. And also, same to ng rule, equivalent ito sa rotation of 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, same lang yung rule ng 90 degrees clockwise and 270 degrees counterclockwise. Paano nangyari yun? So, ito nga pinakita natin dito sa pag-transform sa Cartesian plane. Diba? So, ulitin natin. Ipakita natin yung kung paano naging magkapareho yung 90 degrees clockwise and 270 degrees counterclockwise. So, quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. If i-rotate natin si quadrant 1 ng 90 degrees clockwise, mapupunta siya sa quadrant 4. 90 degrees clockwise yun. Then, kung i-rotate natin si quadrant 1 or yung given point sa quadrant 1 ng 270 degrees counterclockwise. So, from quadrant 1, mapupunta sa quadrant 4. So, same lang sila ng nasa quadrant 4. Kaya si 270 degrees counterclockwise, equivalent siya kay 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, now let's proceed with the last type of angle of rotation, which is the 360 degrees or yung tinatawag na full turn. Kapag full turn, ibig sabihin, bumabalik ka lang sa original position. So, ibig sabihin, when you have a given point x, y, it will become x, y pa din. Okay? So, from quadrant 1, babalik ka sa quadrant 1 kapag 360 degrees ang kanyang rotation, whether it is a clockwise or counterclockwise direction. So ito yung mga rule natin for the clockwise rotation. Okay? So, from given point x, y, it becomes y, negative x. So, yung position ni x and y has been switched, then change the sign of x. So, switch, then change x. So, yan yung rule natin for 90 degree clockwise. For 180 degrees clockwise naman, ang rule lang natin is change sign. And for 270 degrees clockwise naman, you switch, then change y. Change the sign of y. While 360 degrees naman, same lang siya. Okay, so ito pinakamadali sa lahat kasi wala ka na i-apply na rule kasi babalik lang yan lagi sa kanyang original position or original point. Now, for counterclockwise naman, observe this one. 90 degrees counterclockwise, ito yung rule natin. Alin yung same niyan dito? Okay. 90 degrees counterclockwise, alin yung same niyan dito? Okay, itong 270 clockwise. So, ibig sabihin, ang rule natin for 270 clockwise is the same as 90 degrees counterclockwise. And ang rule natin for 270 degrees counterclockwise is the same as rule ng ating 90 degrees clockwise. So, same lang to ng 270 degrees counterclockwise. Then, yung 180 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise have the same rule. Ganun din kay 360 degrees. So, from 8 rules, so ito na yung pinaka-summary niya. Summarize. Let's have this example. Okay, so ito na yung pinakita ko na to kanina kung paano din i-review formula for the 90 degrees rotation of the counterclockwise. So, if you are going to describe the rotated image using the notation, so that is the image, the pre-image was rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise from the given point x, y, it becomes negative y, x. So, this is negative 2. So now, let's write the notation to describe the following counterclockwise rotation on the point 3, 2, then draw the image. So, ang gagawin natin ngayon muna is the mapping rule. Kapag sinabi nating mapping rule, we're going to make a notation on the given angle of rotation. So, dito, sabi dito about the origin at 90 degrees. So, the rotation is 90 degree. So, from the given point, x, y, so we have to indicate pala the direction. So, this is counterclockwise. So, ano ba yung rule natin kapag 90 degrees counterclockwise? So, we switch their position, y, x, then change the sign of your y. So, it becomes negative y, x. So, yung given point natin na 3, 2, it becomes what? Negative 2, 3. Paano nangyari yon? So, switch their position. Pagpalitin mo, 2, 3. Then, palitin mo yung sign ni y. So, from positive 2, naging negative 2. Next, the rotation is about the origin of 180 degrees. So, the rotation, the angle of rotation is 180 degrees counterclockwise. So, the given point x, y, ang rule natin doon, change sign lang. So, negative x, negative y. Okay? So, the given point 3, 2 will become negative 3, negative 2. Next, about the origin at 270 degrees. So, the rotation is 270 degrees counterclockwise. So, the given point x, y. Ang rule natin dito is switch their position. So, becomes, wag kalimutan pala yung paglalagay ng p prime or yung prime symbol to indicate the rotated point. So, switch their position. So, y, x, then change the sign of your x. So, from the given point 3, 2, it will become what? 2, negative 3. So, switch their position, 2, 3, then change the sign of your x, becomes negative 3. Yan. Then, if we are going to draw those points, so, ito yun. So, ipaplot natin siya. Okay, so, from the pre-image point, rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. So, from quadrant 1, mapupunta sa quadrant 2. Then, rotated naman ng 180 degrees from quadrant 1, mapupunta sa quadrant 3. Then, 270 degrees naman from quadrant 1, mapupunta sa quadrant 4. Okay, next, let's perform the following rotations on the image A as shown on the diagram. So, about the origin at 90 degrees. So, this one naman is, di lang naka-indicate, but this is a counterclockwise rotation. Okay. So, sulat muna natin yung mga rules natin. So, the rotated point, or the angle of rotation is 90 degrees counterclockwise. So, the given point x comma y will become negative y comma x. So, therefore, to solve for the image B, anong gagawin natin? Kunin natin yung mga given point nila. So, yung point P na 2, 5, i-rotate natin siya applying this rule. So, that will become, ano yung magiging P prime natin? Switch their position. So, 5, 2. Then, change the sign of your y. So, si 5 magiging negative. Okay? Next is yung Q. So, yung Q natin is 2, 2. So, the rotated point is switch their position. So, 2, 2 pa din. Then, change the sign of y. So, negative 2, 2. Next, sa point R naman, 5, 2. Then, the rotated point is R prime is negative 2, 5. So, switch their position, then change the sign of y. So, kung ipa-plot natin yan, negative 5, 2, negative 2, 2, and negative 2, 5. So, ito yun. So, this is the image A, and 90 degrees counterclockwise, so mapupunta dito. So, ito na yung image B. So, ganun din, kung isosolve nyo yung image O, tsaka image Z. So, itry natin. Sa image O naman, for the image O, so yung P natin, na 2, 5, so to solve for P prime, di ba pag 180 degrees, so just change their sign. So, negative 2, negative 5 na yon. Then, yung Q naman natin, from 2, 2, will become negative 2, negative 2. Then, yung R natin, from 5, 2, our R prime is negative 5, negative 2. Since all the coordinates are negative, so ibig sabihin, makikita natin yun sa quadrant 3. So, dito yun. Okay? So, this is the negative 5, negative 2. Then, this is 2, negative 2. Negative 2, negative 2. And this is negative 2, negative 5. Yan. Then, kapag 270 degrees naman, switch their position, then change the sign of your x. So, kunin natin. Yung P natin, ano yung given na P kanina? 2, 5. So, yung rotated point nito is 5, negative 2. So, si x naman yung nagbago yung sign. Then, yung Q natin is 2, 2. So, this will become 2, negative 2. Then, si R natin from, what is our R? 5, 2. From 5, 2, this will become 2, negative 5. So, lahat yan makikita mo sa quadrant 4. Dito. Okay? Next is the writing the notation that represents from the pre-image to the rotated image. So, the given point E, nabigay na to example kanina, negative 1, 2. So, our E prime is 1, negative 2. So, your x and y is this one. Diba? Negative 1 and 2. Now, what happened to your rotated point? So, yung position nila stay pa din. So, x and y pa din to. But their signs has changed. Their signs has changed. So, from x, it becomes negative x. So, from y, it becomes negative y. Or, from negative 1, it becomes 1. From 2, it becomes negative 2. So, yan yung rule natin for 180 degrees. Whether it is a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation. Next naman is this one. Okay. Now, to identify the rule or the notation given the figure, the original figure and the rotated point, what are you going to do is to pick any point. Okay, mamili lang kayo ng any point dito. Let's say this one, negative 5. Si point D is negative 5, 1. Then, ipakita nyo yung rotated point niya. It becomes 1, negative 5. Then, label nyo yung original point as x and y. Then, i-observe nyo yung transformation. So, nag-change ng position. So, naging y and x. Then, observe the sign. Alin yung nagpalit ng sign? Wait lang. Negative 5, 1. This is 1, positive 5 pala. Yan. Oh, positive 5 to eh. Yan. Okay, so 1, 5. So, observe nyo, alin yung nagpalit ng sign? Yung x natin. From negative 5, it becomes positive 5. So, then after that, alin ba sa mga rules na na-present kanina, yung nagpapakita ng switch the position, then change the sign of x. So, that is our rule for 90 degrees clockwise. Tama ba? So, the rotation is 90 degrees clockwise from the given point x, y. It becomes it becomes y, negative x. Switch the position, then change the sign of x. Or, it can also be at 270 degrees counterclockwise, where the given point x, y, it was transformed to y, negative x. So, it's either of the two can be unanswered. Okay? Kapag pinapahanap yung mapping rule. Next, about this one naman. So, Thomas describes a rotation as point J moving from J, which is located at negative 2, 6, and the J prime is 6, 2. So, let's write the notation. So, sabi natin, pick a point. So, yung J natin is negative 2, 6. Then, show the transformation. So, we're going to label this one as x and y. And this one, i-observe natin kung nag-switch ba ng position. So, nag-switch. So, it becomes y, x. Then, i-observe, alin yung nagpalit ng sign? Yung ating x. So, this is the original point and this is the rotated point. So, it can be rotated 90 degrees and ang direction niya clockwise. Okay. So, from the given point x, y, it becomes y, negative x. So, pwede ring rotated 270 degrees counterclockwise from the given point x, y. The rotated point becomes y, negative x. Yun. Next one, write the notation that represents this figure from the yellow diamond. So, ito yung original point or the original image. Then, to the rotated green diamonds, ito naman ang kanyang rotated image. So, again, pick a point. Our E is negative 1, 3. Then, our E prime is negative 3, negative 1. So, then label yung original point as x and y. Then, observe the transform point, whether they switch the position. So, they switch. it becomes y and x. Then, alin yung nagbago ng sign? So, yung ating y, from positive 3, it becomes negative 3. Then, yung x natin, na-maintain lang as negative 1. So, if we're going to observe, the angle of rotation that represent this rule is 90 degree. And kung i-observe natin yung image, tumalon lang naman ang isang quadrant. Kaya siya 90 degrees. Then, ang direction is clockwise. Since from yellow diamond to green diamond. Then, the original point x, y becomes negative y, x. It can also be 270 degree counterclockwise. From the given point x, y, the rotated point becomes negative y, x. Okay? So, it's either of these two can be an answer. So, ito napakita na natin to kanina sa derivation of formula for the 270 degrees. Okay? So, from the given point 7, 0, the rotated point is 0, negative 7. So, this is x and y, and this is our, they switch the position, so y and x, then change the sign. Nag-change yung sign ng x, so y, negative x. And that rule represents for 90 degrees clockwise. And again, pwede rin to 270 degrees counterclockwise. Okay, so let's try 90 degrees clockwise. So, kapag 90 degrees clockwise, switch their position, then copy the sign of your x. Tama ba? 90 degrees clockwise. Switch their position, then change the sign of your x. Switch their position. So, our a prime is 4, 1. Then, change the sign of your y. Tama ba? Nalilito na ako. Daming rule. Change the sign of your x. Okay, so it becomes 4, negative 1. Sulat nga natin. So, our rule here, so this is our x, y. So, our rule here is y, negative x. Then, our rule here, so, yan. So, double rotation na to. So, p double prime. It becomes negative y, x. Switch their position, then change the sign of y. Okay, so a prime is 4, negative 1. So, therefore, the a double prime is negative 4, 1. Next, how about point B? So, our B prime, you switch their position, 2, 4, then change the sign of your x. So, this becomes 2, negative 4. And our B, 270 degrees clockwise, that becomes negative 2, 4. Okay, so to practice, sundan nyo lang tong A and B, then try to answer this example. And also this one is 90 degrees counterclockwise naman, so this is equivalent to 270 degrees clockwise. And 270 degrees counterclockwise is the same as 90 degrees clockwise. While yung 180 and 360 have the same rule. So, ang rule natin dito is negative x, negative y. And for the 360 rotation is the same as x and y. Then this one, you can practice this by writing the mapping rule or the notation that represents the pre-image and the rotated image. So, you can pause the video while answering this. Then, you may approach your subject teacher, your math teacher, to verify your answer on your free time. Okay? So, that's all for this rotation. So, thank you for watching, and I hope may natutunan about rotation.